Hola, hello. Today I would like to share from a story quite dear to my heart. And that story is taken out of the book of Jonah. And actually the title is Taking Jonah Out of the Boat. Many times in our lives we insist on keeping people inside our lives just for the sake of keeping them. And many times it's not the wisest thing to do. So I'll share from Jonah chapter 1, okay? I'll share with NLT, New Living Translation. The Lord gave this message to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are. But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. He went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish. He bought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish. But the Lord howled a powerful wind over the sea, causing a violent storm that threatened to break the ship apart. Fearing for their lives, the desperate sailors shouted to their gods for help, and threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. But all this time, Jonah was sound asleep down in the hold. So the captain went down after him. "How can you sleep at a time like this?" he shouted. "Get up and pray to your God. Maybe he will pay attention to us and spare our lives." Then the crew cast lots to see which of them had offended the gods. And caused the terrible storm. When they did this, the lots identified Jonah as the culprit. "Why has the awful storm came down on us?" they demanded. "Who are you?" they asked him. "What country are you from? What is your nationality?" Jonah answered, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land." The sailors were terrified when they heard this, for he had already told them he was running away from the Lord. "Oh, why did you do it?" they asked him. They groaned. And since the storm was getting worse all the time, they asked him, "What should we do to you to stop this storm?" "Throw me into the sea," Jonah said, "and it will become calm again. I know that this terrible storm is all my fault." Instead, the sailors rowed even harder to get the ship to the land, but the stormy sea was too violent for them, and they couldn't make it. Then they cried out to the Lord, Jonah's God. "Oh Lord," they pleaded, "don't make us die for this man's sin, and don't hold us responsible for his death. Oh Lord, you have sent this storm upon him for your own good reasons." Then the sailors picked Jonah up and threw him into the raging sea. And the storm stopped at once. The sailors were awestruck by the Lord's great power, and they offered him a sacrifice and vowed to serve him. What a story! Many times in our lives, we accommodate Jonahs into our boat. Jonah is our people, actually, they are symbols of people who are running away from their God-given purpose. And they just cripple into our lives, and we accommodate them. We make room for them to stay in our lives, not knowing that it will cause us harm. Those sailors, they lost their cargo. They had to throw everything out in order to lighten up the boat, because they didn't know that it was Jonah that was at fault. It was Jonah. Jonah had to be thrown out. But many times we also fail to ask God why the storms are going on, and we keep on our human mind trying to identify solutions in order to correct our mistakes. The sailors, they didn't know better. So what they've done, they lighted up the ship, so they lost the cargo. And Jonah was asleep in the hold of the boat. He was the one who caused the trouble, and he was sleeping. Many times the people who cause the trouble, they are sleeping, they are at ease, they are comfortable, while they are causing trouble to other people's lives. So, out of this story, what do we take? When Jonah admitted that it was him that was at fault, that it was him that needed to be thrown out of the boat, the sailors actually pleaded with God and said, please don't hold us responsible for this man's death. So they threw him out. Once they threw Jonah outside of the boat, guess what? The storm stopped. So my reasoning with us today is that many times we need to stop and evaluate what kind of Jonases we are carrying in our lives, what kind of people we are having in our boat. Our boat is heavy because we are carrying Jonases. They are running away from the God-given purposes, and they cripple into our life. They stay there, they sleep in our boat, and they cause storms to come. We need to get rid of them. For this reason, we need to stop and analyze our lives. If we have friendships that are not adding any value, if we have people in our lives that are not leading us to where we should be, maybe, and just maybe, it's time that we let them go so that the storm will come and we get to our destination. This is 3D Growth. See you later.